God tells Abraham to leave his home. But he tells it to him in a very interesting way. He tells him to leave, and I quote, Me'artzecha, from your land, Mimolatecha, from your birthplace, Umibet avicha, and from the house of your father. Rashi explains, God is telling him 3 places to leave because he is being promised 3 different blessings. God tells Abraham that here in this land, you are not blessed financially, and you are not blessed with children, and you're not blessed with great reputation. After all, you're the only one who does not believe in all of those idols. So God tells Abraham, go to where I will show you, and you'll be blessed with all 3. With livelihood, with children, and also with a good reputation. Shem Tov. The Zera Shimshon gets a little deeper, and he said, based on these 3 words, we see that God is actually promising Avraham 3 amazing things that he could not attain in his current home, in his birthplace, that he will be able to attain in Eretz Yisrael. One of them being during his life, one of them being at his death, and one of them being after his death. Look how amazing this is. The first is as follows. He says, Me'artzecha, God is telling Abraham, leave your land. Why leave your land? Because the land that you come from is an impure land. The land that I'm going to bring you to, Eretz Yisrael, is a land of kedusha v'tahara, of holiness, of an exalted stature. You will be able to fulfill your mission in the place that I will take you. Leave Artzecha, your land, and go to the place where I will show you. To live in this world that life that you are supposed to. That's the first. Second aspect, Umimolatecha, leave your birthplace. What does that mean? That means that at your death, Avraham, God is telling him, at the time of your death, it is much better for you to die in Israel opposed to the place you were born. Really? Why? Zera Shimshon quotes the Zohar. The Zohar says that at the time of a person's death, the individual that is dying is being greeted by their ancestors. They're being greeted to the world to come by their ancestors. Agav, I'll mention another Zohar. The Zohar says that under a chuppah, all of the ancestors of the bride and the groom come under the chuppah to bless the bride and the groom. Now at the other part, another life cycle event. When an individual dies, they are greeted by their ancestors. God tells Abraham, do you want to be greeted by your ancestors to the world to come? Obviously not. Your ancestors are wicked. They're idolaters, not righteous people. God is telling Abraham, you know what? If you pass away in Israel, it will be much better for you. Because since they are impure, they will not be allowed to come into Eretz Yisrael. They will not be able to greet you at your time of death. Rather, you will fall right into my hands, God said. God himself will accept Avraham and be there the one to greet Avraham when he enters the world to come. That's number 2. Umimolatecha, leave your birthplace. Leave those who you come from, because you don't want to be greeted from them. Number 3, umibet avicha. You might think that in order for you to give a proper inheritance, a great gift to your descendants, it would be good for you to stay by your father's home, who was wealthy. No. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, leave bet avicha, because after your death, what I promised to your children and grandchildren and all your descendants is worth so much more than bet avicha, so much more than any inheritance you could have had from your father and passed on to your own children. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling him, leave these 3 aspects, because these 3 aspects will be good for you during your life, at your time of passing, and also at the moment after you pass away, in order to give to your children. Lesson I wanted to pull out from this was, we see that Avraham had a tremendous blessing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu prepared great things for Avraham. during his life, for his passing, and afterwards, as the descendants of Abraham, and more so, as those who as much as possible are committed to Torah, committed to one God, and try as much as to follow in our ancestors and specifically our forefathers' ways, also have that blessing. The same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu was there for Abraham, and he promised Abraham a good life, and a good passing, and a good afterlife. So too we, as much as we try, and the more we try to forge that relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the same way Avraham Avinu did, and come closer to him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will also bless us during our lifetime, during our passing, and after our lifetime for our descendants.